All right, we should be live, hopefully. Let's see. I hope it doesn't glitch or anything, as it does. As it does sometimes. No, it should be fine. Okay, I think we can see each other. Hi, Karen. Hello. Good to see you. I think we are live and everything should be more or less okay. Alrighty, let me see. I also need to launch our TikTok as well. There we go. All right. And we are rolling. Hello, everybody. Hi, Scrunch. Hello, hello, hello. And hi, Dave. How are you guys? How are you doing? How's it going? Is everything okay with you? Cheers. Cheers. No, we don't have anyone on TikTok yet, so cheers to you guys. It's my clementine juice. Look at that. I almost finished it. Hello, Jason. Good to see you. Hi, Josh. Long time no see. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, you guys. So many things I want to talk about today. But now we need to do our warm-up first. Before we get into the horrors of life. How are you doing today? How are you doing, you guys? Hi, Zoe. Hello. Oh, I couldn't believe... I mean, honestly, I want to say I couldn't believe it. But also at the same time I could. When I woke up and I saw the news, I was like, yep, we're here. That makes sense. Hello, hello, hello. So many things, I know. Too many things, honestly, for our own good. The most important one is, of course, we're going to discuss Poland. We're going to discuss everything that happened in Poland. Honestly, those of you who have been watching me for a while, I don't think you're surprised. To you guys, it's probably, drones in Poland, what else is new? Right? Because we have been talking about drones in Poland for how many times? Before that, it was drones in Lithuania. Drones, 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 drones everywhere. So, thank you. Honestly, obviously nothing good about this, but it's just a logical, I guess, development of the situation, if you really think about it. Unfortunately, again, it doesn't make me happy in the slightest. Let me see. Has Poland said thank you to Ukraine? No, they will not. In fact, we already have all of the conspiracists in the Polish right, because I've told you guys before about their interesting far-right movement. They have this party called Konfederacja, for instance, and a lot of characters in their ranks, very, very interesting ones. They're already saying that, it's very questionable and it's weird. How come these drones ended up in Poland in the first place? Maybe it's Ukraine to blame, all this nonsense. But at the same time, obviously, everybody who's sane understands that this is not how it works, right? This is not how it works. And it wasn't us being like, you know what we're going to do today? Yeah, let's not shoot down these 20 drones and let them just fly into Poland randomly. Okay, we will get into some of the possibilities for how this actually happened. But yeah, the conspiracists have been wilding, and also obviously fueled by you already know who, by the Russian propaganda itself. Thank you. Obviously, unsurprising, because the statement for now from the Russians was from Peskov, right? This is Putin's spokesman. They're saying it could be a provocation, right? So they haven't really formed like one version of what has happened yet, the one that they will be feeding to all of us. So they're testing different ones, but one of the possible ones that they're testing is the provocation, because they didn't have, how did he put it? First of all, he said that, thank you, Jonathan. This is very sweet of you, thank you. First of all, he said that EU and NATO daily accuse Russia of provocations, and most often than not, they don't have any arguments to support it. Obviously, this is what the Russians are saying all the time, right? And then they also said that they didn't have any objects on the Polish territory planned, right, to be hit by the drones. Which, what an interesting way to phrase it, huh? Okay, cool. So yeah, we will be seeing a lot of this, and as you guys might know, obviously a lot of you know, that Russians really like to manipulate the public opinion online, and you can already see this, right? You can already see this based on the online comments, which are usually heavily manipulated, especially on the platform formerly known as Twitter, right? And this was the poll, right, of online comments in Poland showing who users blame for the drone incursion. Users meaning people who comment, many of whom are not even people. 38% point to Ukraine. So you can immediately tell that yeah, someone is pulling the strings behind these bots, huh? Oh, thank you, Josh. What was that? Thank you so much. Hi, Henrik. Thank you too. Oh my God. But yeah, you can immediately tell, right, that this is something that is being played with. This is something that is being, unfortunately, not as true and honest as perhaps we would like for it to be. TJ says, both surprised it happened and that it didn't happen sooner, right? I know. When I read that, I was like, what? Dave says, I saw a report that Russia has started the Ukraine playbook against Finland, right? Yeah. It didn't make sense to me that Russia would have available resources for that theater. They've been doing this for some time now. They've been doing this with... Finland is the recent one. They've also been doing this with Estonia. And the Finland part was marked by the recent visit of the former Russian President Medvedev to the Finnish border with an inspection. Thank you. He visited with an inspection. And after that, he was like, Finland is preparing to attack Russia, which obviously we have heard this one before. I think what they're doing, they're trying to... Hi, Krampus. Hello, long time no see. I think they're trying to muddy the waters, right? I think they're trying to muddy the waters. I think they're pointing in these different directions saying, this, no, that one. This is the threat. No, that is the threat. And the general idea here, obviously for the mainstream audience, is, the regular Russian BS, but it's also to confuse... Thank you, Bram. Hello. It's also to confuse the people paying attention to where their next attack, where their next move is going to be, right? Aimed at. Okay, sorry, TikTok. Let me see what you guys are saying. Good to see you too. We're ready. Yeah, sorry. No, I promised you a warm-up, and then I immediately jumped into the conversation about the drones. Hello, Florida Ken. Thank you. How many times can one escalate to de-escalate? It's a very good question. We're about to find out an answer to this one. Hello, Megan. Long time no see. We're about to discuss the drones. We're already discussing the drones that were shot down over Poland last night. So, yeah. Where is it going on so long? Your hair's gone from a bob to halfway down your back. Can say same for Putin. Now that would be disturbing. That would be disturbing. If Putin showed up with his hair down to his back, looking like Cousin It, I would be mildly disturbed. So maybe it's good that he is still bold. But also, you guys, by the way, TikTok, we're also live on YouTube if you would like to see the things that I'm showing. We will be starting by looking at the map because we have an insane map of last night's missile strikes. And if you look at this map, many things will immediately become clear. Specifically why we have seen what we have seen regarding the drones flying into Poland, because this was an extremely intense attack. And yeah, different colors mean different things they're launching at us. The red one and the purple one and the green one, it's the missiles, and the yellow is the drones, right? So to those of you who are on YouTube, you're already seeing this one. Hello, Allison. Hello, Suzanne. Yeah, Alice, you're right to do this. It's very important. The most important thing about what happened last night in Poland is what kind of response are we going to see, if any. This is the most important thing. We're going to talk about what we have seen so far in a couple minutes, the reactions that... Thank you, Zoe. Yes, this is my YouTube. It's linked in the bio, right? Always linked in the bio. So you guys go ahead and follow me on there if you want to see the stuff, if you want to comment on there too. Ukraine controlling Ukraine. Yeah, Ukraine is behind everything, actually. So I know the jig is up. Everybody knows. Don Jr. was right. It's us, you guys. It's us. Ugh. Hello, people. Let me see. Oops. Thank you, Krampus. Yeehaw. And thank you, Josh. Wow, this is like a fashion show. Alrighty, everyone. So this is what we're looking at right now. We're looking at this map, very intense missile strikes and drone strikes. And as you can see, and I have also posted parts of it in the videos on TikTok, these arrows right here, the yellow ones, going over Belarus, some of them, and then some of them going directly into Poland. Some of them are making a U-turn and then flying back into Ukraine, which we have seen happen in the past. Whenever this stuff happens, usually the NATO jets that are currently routinely being raised into the air to observe the situation, to patrol the Polish skies, they're usually just observing it happening. So the routine thing, to those of you who are new, who haven't been following the situation, is that, right? The drones are flying into Poland, making a U-turn. The NATO jets are watching, right? The NATO radars are watching. The NATO Patriot systems in Rzeszów are watching. The drones make a U-turn and then they fly back into Ukraine to hit the hospitals, you know, the usual stuff. And the NATO's like, phew, okay, one more day of peace preserved. Mission accomplished. Today, well, last night was different. So we have seen some of the drones making a U-turn and going back into Ukraine. Hello, Anne, good to see you. And then we had seen some drones flying further into Poland. And yeah, this is when the action began on the NATO territory. And surprisingly to all of us, they decided to shoot down some of them, and they have. The numbers vary, everybody. There was different data depending on who you're listening to. But the number that I have seen most often, so Polish Prime Minister Tusk said 19. Some of their other official spokespeople, at first they said 7, but also they said there was a missile too. But then all of a sudden the missile disappeared somewhere. I don't know. Tusk said 7, Rzeczpospolita, the Polish newspaper, said up to 23, according to their sources. So by tomorrow, could as well be 35 or maybe more, I don't know. The worst thing that has happened, we have seen the first damage, right? We have seen the first damage in Poland. The building that was hit, let me show you. I had it somewhere over here. Sorry, a little chaotic because a lot of information that I wanted to discuss. So yes, this was published by a Polish MP. Photos of a damaged house due to a drone/debris strike somewhere in Lublin vicinity. So as you can see, this is the image that I'm afraid we will all have to... Oh, thank you, Hendrik. Thank you, Hendrik. This is something that we will all have to remember, whether we like it or not, because, yeah, this is the first images of damage and devastation tend to stick with you. So I will forever remember the first images with which the full-scale invasion began, and prior to that, the first images of the escalation, right? So when the Russians were shelling the villages in Donbass much more actively, and I was even reporting on it back then because every single shelling was like big news back then. And I still remember those pictures, the pictures of the kindergarten in Stanice Luhanska that was shelled. So yeah, this is the first building in Poland that was damaged. About a week ago, it was August 20th when we were talking about the drone that flew into Poland, also reached Lublin and Lublin area. It's a town in eastern Poland. I was actually just there last week. Anyway, and that drone ended up falling, hitting a cornfield, and then burning. So it didn't cause any damage, but it did spook everybody in the area. So this time it's different, as you can see. This time we have actually seen some actual damage being caused, unfortunately. Thankfully, no casualties, right? But yeah, this is a debris. You can immediately tell if you have been observing the situation with us for a while. You already know that this is not something that has exploded. This is a debris hitting, most likely, the building. So there was that. Let me open the article for reference. I had it somewhere. There we go. This is the article from Rzeczpospolita claiming that there were over 20 drones, and it was mainly Dutch F-35s that shoot them down. Okay, we're going to discuss that in a sec. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good to see you all. Did NATO intercept? Yes, they did. So it was a whole thing, you guys. It was a whole thing, and it's slightly ironic to all of us who are witnessing, stuff like this, which I just showed you, right? This is like almost a daily occurrence in Ukraine, right? All of these super intense, hundreds of drones, hundreds of missiles. The 20 drones that flew into Poland were shut down by 4 NATO countries. So there were Dutch F-35s, there was German Patriot air defense systems based in Rzeszów. There was also Italian plane as well in there, and there were Polish helicopters. Everyone was shutting down these 20 drones, which it's a good thing. It's a good thing, but also I cannot help but chuckle a little bit, because if only we had such means, maybe the devastation wouldn't be as bad, because at the same time in Ukraine, after the same missile strike and drone strike that was targeting us, we have had several people killed. We have had several regions of Ukraine targeted. So in Zhytomyr, 1 person was killed in Zhytomyrska Oblast. Multiple residential buildings and factories were damaged. In Khmelnytska Oblast, there were 3 people injured, and a textile factory destroyed, and a gas station hit, and also public transport also hit. And the buildings, as always, had the windows shattered. And in Vinnytsia, there was 1 person injured, right, and hospitalized. And so, I'm sorry for maybe being slightly cynical about everything that's happening, but yeah. Okay, let's go back to Poland after I look at the chat. Just a moment, everybody. Just a moment. And they've also invoked Article 4. Hello, buffering slowly. Yes, I'm away right now. I'm not in Ukraine. I am away, as you can tell. So a Black Hawk this afternoon over Gdańsk, quite distinct and rare. Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. Honestly, it's good. It's good that they're there, and I hope they send more stuff over there as well to strengthen your skies. Hopefully. Oh, thank you, Ringo. Thank you, guys. Hi, Nick. Hello. The amount of Russian bots. Oh, thank you, Ken. That's adorable. Thank you. The amount of Russian bots on Polish social media is crazy. They blame everyone but Russia. Yeah. So they're blaming Ukraine, right? They're blaming NATO. They're blaming Germany, obviously, because everything is German's fault. They're blaming the Polish government and the Polish army. Yeah, this is just yet another indicator of how heavy the Russian misinformation operations are in different languages, not just in English. We usually talk about their misinformation operations in English, how they're targeting American audiences. They're working everywhere. They're working globally, nonstop, and and on certain websites, their presence is much more palpable than the others. Anyway. So don't be surprised. There's going to be a lot of this. There's going to be a lot of disinformation. There's going to be a lot of these various opinions and words and phrases. And also another thing, remember, right? How does a classic Russian misinformation work? They launch several versions of what has happened, and they're looking at which one's going to stick. And then this is going to be their main one, which most likely, I can bet right now, honestly, that it's probably going to be, it's somehow Ukraine's fault. Because I already seen this version being parroted by some of their sleeper agents in Poland as well. So, oh, thank you, Dave. All right, so we do know that it was Dutch F-35s that shot at the Shaheds, but we also know that it was collective work, right? There were several countries, as I just told you, present, shooting down these drones or locating the drones. So it was teamwork, makes dream work, as we all know. Sorry, not funny, I know. Polish and Allied measures were observed by several objects. Okay, they observed several objects. This is automated translation, sorry. And they decided that these objects could pose a threat, and then they decided to neutralize them. This is on what I just told you. This means they looked at the drones, not making a U-turn and flying back into Ukraine. They were like, oops, oh no, the drones are flying further into Poland. What do we do? That was... And then they're like, okay, we got to do something. Some of the drones that entered our space were shot down. The search and location of the possible falls of these objects are ongoing, the operational command of the Armed Forces of Poland said. The unofficial source of this particular newspaper claims that there were more than 20 and probably 23, but I've already told you that there's been some mixed data, even from the official Polish sources, which again, perhaps it's understandable, perhaps it makes sense. You would like to keep the fog of war going, right? You don't want all of this data being immediately available to everyone. So yes, we just talked about the Dutch F-35s taking part in the operation, the Netherlands playing an important role. We all know that Netherlands take it pretty seriously, which is good. At least someone is. At least someone is taking this type of stuff seriously. So, oh, thank you, Josh. Also, we had a statement from Zelensky offering our support, which is he meant it. He meant it. It was not supposed to be like a trolling or something, right? It was for realsies, everybody. Let me see where it was. Too many. This J.D. Vance. Yeah, this was his statement. So more and more information is coming about the Russian strike drones into Polish territory. As of now, 8 drones are now. This was when only information about 8 drones was available. Increasing evidence suggests that this movement and direction of the strike are not accidental. There have been previous incidents with individual Russian drones crossing the border and covering a short distance on neighboring territory. Yes, as we know. But now we're witnessing a much larger scale and purposefulness. Purposefulness here is actually very important. It's important to remember that this was not a random, like just a random stray, as they like to say it, because I just explained to you guys, right? When it's a random stray, or when they're meant for Ukraine, then they make a U-turn very close to the Polish border, and then they make it back into Ukraine. These drones made it pretty far into Poland. Thank you. So just something to keep in mind, and he also points that out. So Ukraine is ready to provide Poland with the necessary available data. Ukraine is ready to close the sky over NATO. Ukraine is ready to provide Poland with the necessary available data regarding the Russian strike. Ukraine is ready to help Poland build an appropriate alert and defense system against such Russian threats. It is obvious that Russian aggression is a threat to every independent nation in our region. Accordingly, only joint and coordinated actions can guarantee reliable security. True. Yeah, I agree with him 100%. An important precedent is the use of combat aviation from several European countries simultaneously to shoot down Russian weapons. This is something that we also talked about. It's important that the response is strong and swift and coordinated, which, at least in terms of shooting down the bastards, yeah, it was. And it was honestly, yeah, it was something very positive and something very aspiring. And hopefully this is going to be the trend set for the future, because I am sure that this is not going to be the last attack like this. Okay. Oh, hi guys. Hello. Welcome. Good to see you all on YouTube. We're also live on YouTube, everybody. We're also live on YouTube if you would like to join us. Yeah, I am away. No, it's not a bunker. Don't worry. Don't worry, not a bunker, you guys. Yeah, ideally, right? Ideally, they have to be feeling the heat. They're not really feeling anything. They're kind of feeling currently as if they're... Hello, Mirja, good to see you. As if their hands are untied. This is the general feeling that I've been getting, at least. But also, remember, right, we were discussing that this is only a matter of time before something like this escalates, because the accidental single drones, the stray drones that we have seen before, they were not accidental. Right, it was them testing the ground. It was them testing, how much they can get away with. And you guys already know that, and we have talked about this so many times. But at the same time, there was still a very loud opinion trying to prevail, trying to claim to all of us that no, it was just a random thing. They never meant it. It was just a silly little drone. Remember, right? It was all of these versions of how this could possibly be. Oh, it's just these smugglers trying to smuggle cigarettes into Poland or something. What? With a Shahed drone. Yeah. Sure. Of course this is it. Hello, Kathleen. How are you doing? Oh, God. Okay. Another interesting thing was that some of these drones came from Belarus, which for some reason was a surprise. And the Polish Prime Minister specifically singled out Belarus and said that some of those were from Belarus and that this is very concerning. Immediately, Belarus responded. We haven't looked at Belarusian officials, I don't think ever. So this... Sorry. I'm going to translate you in a second.
Постоянно отслеживались беспилотные летательные аппараты, потерявшие курс в результате воздействия средств радиоэлектронной борьбы с торпедой.
So, first of all, he says that this is a result of exchange between Russia and Ukraine. This is very interesting. Obviously, what else could we expect from Belarus? Then, wait, he said that some drones, I think he said they strayed.
Отслеживались беспилотные летательные аппараты, потерявшие курс.
Yes, he says they lost their way. Some of the drones lost their way. Because of the radio electronic warfare. This is Belarusian version of what happened, you guys.
Часть заблудившихся беспилотников была уничтожена силами противовоздушной обороны нашей страны на территории.
Part of these lost drones, poor drones, I know, were destroyed by the Belarusian Air Force, everybody. Plot twist. Ba-ba-ba-bum. Belarus saves the day. So yeah, they're saying that they have destroyed some of the drones.
По имеющимся каналам взаимодействия в период с 23 часов 9 сентября до 4 утра 10 сентября наши дежурные силы и средства обменивались информацией о воздушной радиолокационной обстановке с дежурными силами и средствами Польши и Литовской Республики.
And Belarus has been giving information about the movement of the drones to Poland and Lithuania. Can you believe that? An unexpected ally, everybody.
Тем самым оповестив их о приближении неизвестных летательных аппаратов к территории их стран.
Anyway, so they're claiming that they have warned, Belarus has warned Poland and Lithuania. I guess this is Lukashenko's way of saying, this is not me, right? This is not me, this one is not on me, I didn't do anything. We're good, you guys, he's trying to say. But yeah, no one is buying it. And Tusk specifically pointed out that several drones were flying from Belarusian territory. You can actually see some of these. I think maybe these are the ones that they're claiming were destroyed by the Belarusian Air Force. I really doubt it. I seriously doubt it, but okay. You can clearly see that some of them at least made it through Belarus towards Poland. And it's also interesting, obviously this is not something that this map is going to show because this is a Ukraine-centered map, but it would be interesting to see whether or not there were some drones launched from Russia through Belarus. But unfortunately for now, we do not have an answer for that question. So Belarus was about to save the day, you guys. They really wanted to, but it's really hard. It's hard to be a good guy. They're trying. They really, yeah. It's just so unfortunate. So unfortunate. Just Superman trapped in Belarusian FSB's bodies. The potato king. Yes, kings and queens of potatoes. Maybe they don't want to get slaughtered in retaliation. Oh, you mean Belarus? If you can trust Belarus, who can you even trust? I know, my favorite country. Yeah, and a bunch of lost drones. I know. And obviously no one is buying it. No one is buying it, especially knowing what we know about the upcoming military drill that has everybody in the region on edge. And the drills are going to be happening in Belarus, and no one really knows what to expect from this, but the warnings have been pretty loud and clear. And I mean, depending on where you are in the region, it differs. Like in Ukraine, we expect, for instance, the possible advancement from Belarus. In Lithuania, they're expecting more drones. In Poland, yeah, they're already getting drones. So, you know, obviously, no one is buying this. This is just another line. There was this interesting report. Oh, hello, Sammy. Good to see you. Interesting report that we're going to look at. There were some phrases that I loved. Belarus has F-35 now. Yes, the entire fleet. And their pilots speak Dutch. This is actually a super secret group of them. It's an undercover group of Belarusian pilots that infiltrated the Netherlands and is now being used to defend the NATO skies. So how about that? I guess you didn't see that one coming, huh, Nick? Yeah, so, and also another thing that happened was that Poland invoked the NATO Article 4. Hello, Jay. Hello, thank you. A lot of people immediately freaked because a lot of people confused it for Article 5. No, this is not Article 5, it's Article 4, it's different. So what is Article... Okay, let me leave it to this lovely lady from Deutsche Welle to try and explain it to us. Just a moment, because some of the things that she said were very funny.
Let's bring in Terry Schultz, our correspondent in Brussels. Terry, we understand Poland has now asked NATO to convene Article 4 consultations. Where does this put us?
That's right, Ben. And what this means is that it is a step above simply discussing or debriefing what happened in Poland. This is a formal request, a signal to NATO that Poland is not calling upon its allies to prepare for war, but it is calling on them to be alert to the threat and to take it seriously. And Prime Minister Donald Tusk, in announcing that he was making this formal request this morning, said that he wants all 31 allies besides Poland, of course, to take this seriously. And he mentioned Washington in particular. This
Washington's
is a very clear signal from Poland that it wants the alliance to step up air defense along the border with Russia, along the front line. And this is something that both Poland and...
Step up the defense along the border with Russia. Lady, I'm really sorry, but Poland doesn't have border with Russia. I love these experts so much. I adore them. So, couple things to notice here, you guys. First of all, no, Poland doesn't have border with Russia, at least for now. Hopefully it will not, ever. Second of all, Article 4 is not just talking. It's more serious talking and also some signals. So, yeah. What does it mean? It's like a more formal procedure for the thoughts and prayers situation. They have already invoked this article. In 2014, after the Russian annexation of Crimea, Poland has also invoked this article in 2022, after the beginning of the Russian full-scale invasion of Ukraine. So it's just more official request for, I guess, talks and stuff like this. Yeah. So ideally, after this one, they will discuss the strengthening of the presence of various air defense forms in Poland and act accordingly, right? Hopefully there will be some more money allocated for this stuff and more troops sent there, but or maybe not, or maybe they'll be like, whatever happens, who knows. So that's just, I just really liked how this lady was like, yeah, just border with Russia. The very famous Poland's border with Russia, because of course. Hello, Hannah. Good to see you. Wait, did she have anything else to say?
The Baltic states have been asking for a long time. I think there's going to be more intense attention on it now.
As Prime Minister Tusk said, this is the first time a NATO country has shot down Russian drones. Do you think we'll see more of this sort of activity?
Well, that depends a lot on Russia if it decides to send more drones into NATO airspace. And I will also mention that Prime Minister Tusk said that a lot of these drones came for the first time from Belarus, and that's something that they consider quite alarming. Now, it is the first time that a country has shot them down, and the amount of support that Poland got in doing this makes it clear that European countries believe that that is the right course of action, because there isn't a standard...
Okay, that's enough. Of course it is the right course of action. Of course you have to shut down the drones that are flying into your territory. I didn't know it was such a rocket science. I didn't know it was such a complicated matter, but apparently it is. Yeah, so why did it have to get to this point? That's a wonderful question that a lot of you have been wondering about and questioning and asking why. Why did it take 20 drones? Why didn't anyone, shoot down the drones before? Because this would be a fear of escalation, right? And everyone is like, oh no, not the escalation, not something horrible like this. In a perfect world, of course, these drones would have been shot down above, I don't know, maybe Ukrainian territory. But no, this would be an escalation. So the drones have to fly towards Lublin and shut down half Poland for something to be done. Okay, I guess, sure, why not? If that's the strategy that these people choose, then who am I to judge, right? I cannot with these people. I cannot, you guys. This is crazy. Also, we had a comment from Trump about an hour ago, I think he made a comment, and that was even better. He truthed on Truth Social, as always. The exact quote goes as follows: "What's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones? Here we go." That's it. That was the comment. That was the comment from the President of the United States of America, everybody. Okay. What do we think? What do we think about that? Lots on TikTok bringing up the Kaliningrad border. Yeah, rightfully so. Rightfully so, I think. Because this is something that you have to be watching pretty closely in the upcoming days and weeks. But it's another question entirely whether or not it presents an active military threat. I mean, you know my opinion on this. I believe it does. I believe it does. I believe it's very, very clear, very open threat. And this is something that threatens the Suwalki Gap, the very presence of Kaliningrad. But at the same time, I'm not entirely sure what kind of evaluation they're using within the NATO. It's something that is still very confusing to me because, like, for instance, I believe, as I told you, that the drones have to be ideally shut down before they enter your country, right? I was wrong about that. No, they will be shut down, some of them, if they fly half across Poland. So, you know, a 5-year-old could have written a better poem. Here we go, he said. I don't understand what it means. Is he cheering for the drones? Oh, thank you, Oshi. Is he cheering for Poland? Has he just woken up? And a lot of questions, you guys. Maybe one day we will learn the answers. Right, exactly, Loris. Article 4 is just them consulting. It means nothing. The most important thing that we have seen is the fact that first and foremost, positive things that we have seen last night, that they did shoot down the drones, finally. It took a lot, and we would have loved for this to happen earlier, but they did take them down. Okay, cool, we'll take this, I guess. So they have demonstrated unity. There were several countries involved, so Poland was not left to fend for itself. In this sense, a very clear signal. While we're on the topic of signals, now this was a signal that it's not just them. and everyone is not pretending like nothing's happening anymore. They're showing, okay, if something was to go down, this is how we were going to react. Okay, perfect. But the Article 4 in itself, no, it's not. It's not really something meaningful. It's just an official request for consultations, I guess. In current situation, however, I do think that it could result in, for instance, strengthening of the military presence of allied countries on the Polish territory, which is good. It should be this way. Because these drones are not just flying randomly right into Polish territory. They're creating routes for themselves, right? They're creating free pathways in which they're observing what types of air defense are present. The reason they ended up in Poland in the first place is because they have found a route through Ukraine which was not protected by air defense, which is also partially on us, I guess. But also, as you know, we are kind of not exactly full with air defense systems ourselves. It has been a major point of conversation that we do not have enough to cover the entire territory because of how intense the strikes are. So these drones, right, they're going in with different missions, and one of them was, of course, to try and find a way to something. What is it that they're trying to potentially map their way to? I would say some of the military facilities, perhaps the ones that are being used to supply Ukraine with military aid, maybe, right? That would be my guess. Oh boy. The timing of it is also very important, right? So we just mentioned these upcoming Zapad 2025, the military drills in Belarus, right? Belarus, by the way, has been militarizing like crazy, right? Our greatest ally of NATO and the friend of Poland and Lithuania has been building infrastructure, modernizing aerodromes, building up missile infrastructure. They are building facilities for Oreshnik missile. This is the Russian missile. Remember, there was this very impressive footage when they were testing this, because this is what the Russians do. They're testing different types of missiles in Ukraine. There was this footage of them testing the Oreshnik missiles in Dnipro. And what this missile did is that it separated in the air into different parts, and then it hit, I think, 7 or 8 locations simultaneously. It's this missile. They're building infrastructure to host these missiles in Belarus, which is not very optimistic, right? Not very reassuring, let's put it this way. And also there is these upcoming military exercises about which everyone is really worried. And 2 days before the military exercises in Belarus begin, they begin on September 12th, we have all of a sudden a first massive drone attack onto Poland, really. What a coinkydink. I bet this is not interconnected. I bet it's just a funny little coincidence and it means nothing. Okay, right, so this article in particular, this is Ukrainian investigators reporting that thank you, Josh, that Belarusian government modernized their airports, including the ones that were used previously by Russia in 2022 to attack Ukraine from, because remember, right, Belarus was very actively involved in that, and they're building additional infrastructure. But yeah, that's pretty much. There are several airdromes. You can see it from satellites. They're not even hiding it. It's so painfully, so clearly obvious what is happening there. And there was already official statement from the Lithuanian president, right, that during the... Okay, let me translate this for you guys, just a moment. During these upcoming drills in Belarus, they're expecting drones flying onto Lithuanian territory. Right, so this is already something that people are expecting, something that is like a part of routine, I guess. All right, we could have the drones flying onto our territory, sure. President Nauseda says the upcoming Lithuanian president Nauseda says the upcoming Russian-Belarusian military exercises, West. It's called West 2025, by the way. Yeah, I know. Interesting name, huh? Should not be used for aggression, but warns that during these exercises, drones can fly into Lithuania. We do not expect or have information that these exercises will be used for any aggression. Yeah, because they're rehearsing. All right. But it may happen that during this period, certain provocations may occur. Drones can fly into our territory. The president of Lithuania told reporters on Tuesday, "We are preparing for such incidents. The army is ready. The State Border Protection Service is ready. I think that we have taken appropriate, adequate measures in this area for this period of increased threat. We hope that it will work." Thank you, Jay. That it will give results, he added. According to Nausėda, Lithuania takes special security measures for the period of military exercises. Okay, at least someone. So the joint Russian-Belarusian military exercises West are scheduled for September 12th through September 16th. During them, exercises on air defense will be held. Scenarios of defensive combat, reflection of violators and tactical aviation support will be worked on. And yeah, apparently, so up to 30,000 servicemen will take part in these exercises, or at least 8,000. Hello, Moo. Good to see you. Good to see you. How are you doing today? So, just the entire thing is absolutely ridiculous to me, because what do you mean there are military drills during an active state of war in which you are an aggressor? Ideally, there has to be. Ideally, in a perfect world, there wouldn't be, because everything is a provocation and no one should provoke anyone. But ideally, in a perfect world, there would have been a preventative strike on this thing. But probably there isn't going to be anything, because of course we'll just be waiting for something to happen, and then we will be oh so concerned. Right, Carlo? Exactly. We're also live on YouTube, everybody. Just FYI, if you would like to join us on YouTube, we're also over there. Kaliningrad, huh? Yeah, Kaliningrad is an interesting one. No one knows what to do about it. But, I mean, come on, you guys. No one even knows what to do about Belarus, right? And Kaliningrad is Russian territory, so no one's gonna do about it. At least for now. They're gonna do something when it's too late. Then, yeah, all of a sudden everybody's gonna be up in arms about this, but not yet. Kaliningrad. The problem with treating Kaliningrad as the reason why I think it's usually dismissed as not like a real Russian border is that it is sort of isolated, right? Well, not sort of, it is isolated. Let's look at Kaliningrad on the map. So in case of something going wrong, you can just instantly encircle it, and this is it, and then there is no right. If I mean, in theory, of course, no one is going to do a preventative strike on Kaliningrad or anything. But yeah, it's right here. Oh, thank you, Dubsy. So ideally, but obviously it's not going to happen. And we were discussing the topic of Kaliningrad how many times, I don't remember, in the past, a lot. Thank you. We have been discussing this topic a lot, and there was this massive topic of supplies to Kaliningrad. You guys might remember back in 2022, it was like, oh, well, the neighboring countries cut off the supplies to Kaliningrad because it's fully reliant on the countries that it neighbors. So I don't know. On one hand, it's such a weird case of Kaliningrad. Like, can you actually treat it as a threat? Yes, I guess on a certain level. Is it really as much of a threat as the rest of the thing? Hard to say. The biggest threat that it presents is to the Suwalki Gap situation that we have discussed before, right? The possible advancement from Belarus in order to, I guess, strike through the either Polish or Lithuanian territory and create this corridor, which hopefully will not happen, but this is one of the likely scenarios that everybody is discussing if there is a possible aggression against the EU, against NATO, then this is one of the likely scenarios. I personally believe that because this scenario is seen as such a likely one, it's not going to pay out, but we'll see. We'll see about that. We'll have to live through this. I think, and also one more thing about this, a lot of you guys were correcting me about Kaliningrad, as in that this lady meant the border with Kaliningrad. She, after that, corrected herself and said the front line. So she did mean Ukraine. But it's fine, we will forgive her. She looks like a nice lady. We like nice ladies in this chat, so we will not be too harsh on her. Here we go. What did he even mean? What did he even mean by that? And a couple of hours after that happened, after the first drones flew into Polish territory, they were at a restaurant with Rubio, I think. I had a video somewhere, I cannot find it. Which again was very fitting. But then it's not like we would expect them to do something. If we're being honest with ourselves, it's not like we're expecting them to do anything at all. But what was that? All right, sure, why not? But honestly, in 2 hours, not particularly. I really liked this picture. This is a play on the map of the movement of Shahed drones over Ukrainian territory. And yeah, it's reminiscent of a certain individual's hair, huh? Interesting. Gee, I wonder why. Anyway, hello Tizai, good to see you. Hello. Cheers to the nice ladies. Seems like I've watched you grow up since the war started. I mean, I was already pretty old when it started. I was... But I guess in a way you have. I mean, I have changed a lot. My hair is long, and yes, thank you, Josh. It's been a long and hard life. Winter is at the corner. That's Russia's favorite time historically to attack. I'm not entirely sure if that's gonna be it this time. I think this time around, my main theory, the one that I have told you guys before, and some of you called me crazy for this, I believe their next attack is gonna be coordinated with China. I believe this is what Putin and Xi discussed in Tianjin, and that it's gonna be done at the same time. It's gonna be Xi taking Taiwan and Russia doing something. We have yet to learn what exactly it's going to be. But it will make sense because it will leave... The West is already not particularly united, but this is going to be a pretty big blow. It's just going to leave a bunch of players confused, and also it will split America's attention. So yeah, this is what I believe will happen. And for that, wintertime is not the perfect time because Taiwan is an island, right? And you need to have much more predictable weather for something like this. But at the same time, if you look at the satellite data, because Chinese preparations for Taiwan, they're very open also, right? What is going on in this household? It's the neighbors. I don't know them. Anyway, it's their life. What I was saying is that no one is hiding anything, right? Everything is very open. And recently the satellite imagery was showing that they're not yet done with their preparations, so probably not in the upcoming months, because one of the possible dates, one of the possible timelines was October for Taiwan. By the looks of it, it might be pushed further, but we will have to see. We will have to see about that. All right, this is J.D. Vance. The fact that I have to look at these people, I hate the fact that we could have been looking at Tim Waltz and Kamala instead. You guys, why would you do this to me? I don't know. Okay, this was statement. If I remember, we will look at J.D. Vance later. I just do not have the moral capacity for now. So, what was the main takeaways from Donald Tusk about the attack? Let's see. This was actually a very good one, very good statement, right? We're not going to watch it because it's in Polish and it only has Ukrainian subtitles, but I address everyone who has different views, including geopolitical ones. Now that Russia's aggressive intentions and Belarus's daily practices no longer raise doubts, you should not look for the enemy in the West. It is not necessary. We have one real enemy in the East. So he is clearly referring here to certain powers within Poland, which we have discussed, that try to work to seek division in the ranks of the allies and try to, doubt Germany or doubt anyone else within the European Union, when in reality the real enemy exists, and it's Russia and Belarus, exactly. Our common task is the full mobilization of the West so that Poland does not find itself in a situation where real connections exist only on paper. This is referencing Poland's very painful historical experience with that. Today, full mobilization of NATO members is needed, and they must stop staying in their comfort zones. We are far from the eastern border, and this is not our war. No, this is NATO's shared responsibility, that of all allies and the entire European Union. Yes, exactly. These are the first signals, but we will use them to the fullest. We will use all possible obligations of our allies. The first signals show that NATO leaders understand very well that this is also their problem, said Tusk during his speech in the Polish Sejm, in the Polish parliament. Now that's that was a good one. That was a good speech. Obviously not my rendition of it, but it showed, I guess, at least that they're optimistic. Thank you, Nick. They do believe that the allies will show up. And yeah, and clearly no one is scared, which is also very important, because one of the main points of this attack that we have seen was to scare Poland, to scare, thank you, to scare the allies, to, you know what they do, right? Divide and conquer. It's still the main principle. So that was quite reassuring. Oh, thank you, Dubsy, once again. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hello. Oh, is this a panda? Oh, I love pandas. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Josh. And thank you, Nick. Okay, so Valky we just briefly discussed about. You guys. How are you doing? I think I missed some comments, as always. As always, you know how it goes. Wait, we tried. Right, Lors, imagine if we had to listen to the statements from Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. This would be so nice. It was such a different vibe to everything. Finished sentences, complete sentences. No eyes of a killer. No. Because, well, obviously, JD does finish his sentences, but he has this murderous look in his eyes that are just like, ugh. Okay, let's get him over with, shall we? While we're on the topic of it. So he was talking to Matt Gaetz, because of course he was. And he stated that the Russians want to gain around 6,000 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory. Thank you, Oshi. You don't say, Mr. Obvious. Wow, really? That's crazy. What else? What else are you gonna say? That they want to destroy the Ukrainian state, that they want to rebuild their empire, that they need to continue with the aggression because otherwise this aggression will turn against Putin and his inner circle. What else didn't we know? Wow. Anyway, let's listen to this thing.
1,000 or so square kilometers that they have not. I think now we're at a point where we've at least narrowed it to a couple of core issues. One issue is territorial. The Russians want about 6,000 or so square kilometers that they have not yet conquered through military force. That's what the Russians want. The Ukrainians, on the flip side, they want a security guarantee, whether from the Europeans or somebody else, because they want confidence that if they cut a deal, the Russians aren't going to come back in a few months or a few years asking for more.
Do you want to get to that conflict?
So, one side wants a reassurance that a war of aggression is never going to repeat on its soil. The other side wants 6,000 square kilometers of that first side's territory. I mean, both sides sound perfectly reasonable to me. I think we should listen to both sides, and I think it totally makes sense. 6,000 square, I mean, what is it even, right? It's nothing in the global scheme of things. Yep, wonderful. It's
between Russia and Ukraine. What do you see as the administration's plan to bring that war to an end?
Well, I think fundamentally, Matt, we're trying to sort of apply leverage to both the Russians and the Ukrainians to try to come to the table and make a deal. I think now we're at a point where we've at least narrowed it to a...
Right. Sure. Do we have to mention why this is a crazy approach, and what do you mean applying leverage to both, especially to the backdrop of 20 drones flying into Poland? Your ally, by the way. I know you're gonna pretend it's not your ally when push comes to shove, but it is. Yeah, they are. It's gonna be, oh, Russia just wants half of Poland. Russia just wants Lublin and Rzeszów and maybe half of Warsaw. which is perfectly reasonable, and Poland just wants to exist. We will have to apply leverage to both. Thank you. Okay. Over and out with Vance. Let's go on. Let's continue with Poland. Sorry, let me see what you guys are saying. Apologies. There's a conversation happening. Oh, Carlo. Oh, you guys. Trump was with Hegseth and they were roundly booed both inside and outside the restaurant. Yeah, which I think it's a common occurrence for these people these days, no? I think. Right, for a bully it makes sense, for a great move for them. Oh, you guys. The world is going to absolute, yeah, kind of, but it's okay. We will try our best to make it through the madness and make it through the nonsense. There were some interesting explanations on. Okay, we've already discussed Article 4 and how it's NATO's gravely concerned mechanism. This is the best explanation that I have seen so far. That Turkey invoked it 3 times over Syrian air and artillery attacks. No one even remembers about it anymore. But yeah. And actually and it also had to do with Russia, obviously, because of course it did. So yeah, but we've already discussed this. Also, I wanted to show you guys the statement from Rutte, who's very proud of how NATO's air defense worked. Wait, is it in? Okay, no, it's in Ukrainian. I thought I had it in. I thought I had it in English. Okay, so the NATO Secretary General believes that NATO air defense worked and successfully protected NATO territory as expected. So great success, you guys. Several allies acted together with Poland. These were Polish F-16s, Dutch F-35s, Italian WACAs, I don't know if you read them as AWACS or not, I'm not sure, NATO tankers, and German Patriots, located in Rzeszów, by the way. That's this massive hub in Poland that is used for Ukraine supplies. It is heavily protected. Why do I know that this is a hub for Ukraine supplies? Because everybody knows it. So I guess in theory it could have been better protected, but we are where we are. Anyway. There was this, something that I wanted to point out. There was this weird trend, especially at the very beginning, and up until, it took too long for them to stop, honestly, too long. But everything was so extremely transparent when it came to support of Ukraine, when it came to the military operations, the type of weapons we're receiving, how we're receiving them, through which cities, through which roads almost, right? How the logistics were, everything was super obvious. We had these, remember the lists of the weapons and the systems that the Western countries are supplying for us, which in retrospect, a very stupid decision, and it should have never been a thing. And recently everybody finally realized that perhaps they should change the approach, and they did. But by then it was already too late. And I remember vividly, and it's one of those things which is, how do you call them? The Mandela effect, right? When you believe that something happened, when you know that something happened, but then the reality points otherwise. In my case, I do know for a fact that there was this massive article on either Politico or Financial Times, I don't remember, and it detailed the operations within the Rzeszów NATO military base, like step by step. It interviewed the people at the base. They looked at all of the logistics, at all of how things work at the base, and then they deleted it because clearly someone was like, "What the hell are you doing?" I imagine there was a phone call to probably someone in some higher up to like, "What are you even doing? Why are you doing this? This is a secret military object. Who let the journalists in?" And then this article disappeared. But I remember that it existed, and it was a good article too. But time and place, everybody, as Taddy Westbrook taught us. Come on. Anyway, reporter is asking Rutte, does this say anything about the state of NATO air defense, especially regarding drones, a relatively new threat? Does NATO need to improve protection against drones? Rutte says, yesterday we saw a very successful response from NATO and the Allies. This is not what they asked you. This is not what they asked you. This is not the question, but very professionally answered. I think the real answer to this question is it's not, it could be improved. It has to be improved. Because if you need a bunch of F-35s to down 20 Shahed drones, something is not going well. Something is clearly off. And yeah, something has to be fixed, because what do you mean? Okay. No, I mean, obviously it worked, right? And it's a good thing. But at the same time, you guys have to understand that this is a very expensive, and this is a very expensive way to down those drones. And this is not something that will work in the long run, right? This is something that has to be looked at. You need alternatives to these. You need alternatives to these, because it's extremely costly and dangerous too. There is a problem that has already been discussed in Ukraine, and we continue discussing this. The danger of using the F-16s, in our case, the only thing we get is F-16s. F-16s against the drones in particular. Not the missiles, but the drones. It's very, very dangerous. This is not what these planes are meant to do. Anyway, okay, sure. Of course, he then adds, we always have to be one step ahead. You sound like Nikocado Avocado, my friend. Okay, sorry, makes sense. But last night showed that we're capable of protecting every centimeter of NATO territory, including the airspace. So they believe it was a good thing that happened. As you can see, I'm slightly skeptical. Who is right, who is wrong? Time will tell. Time will tell. But I guess, yeah, a win is a win, right? So out of 20 drones, at least they're saying that all of them were downed, so good. It took 1 million people, and thank you, Suzanne, and a bunch of very expensive planes, but it was done. So, okay. I'm really skeptical. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't be. I should be nicer. I should be nicer, you guys. When he was still our prime minister, he was very talented at not answering questions. I could tell. This is a very, it's an important skill in a politician. The one that is being crafted and developed carefully throughout their entire careers. Also, I mean, there was also a statement from Radosław Sikorski, that's Poland's foreign minister, and he has said that it was a deliberate act, this violation of Polish airspace, which is, yes, obviously, but these things have to be said out loud. You have to say this stuff out loud, because otherwise the Russians will start using, as we have already seen with Mr. Peskov, where is he? This is him, Putin's spokesman, just in his stupid mustache. They will immediately start pushing it was an accident, we didn't know anything, this line. So you have to just immediately cut it out and be like, no, you did it on purpose. So props to Sikorski on this one. When 1 or 2 drones does it, this is a quote from Sikorski, it is possible that it was a technical malfunction. In this case, there were 19. Okay, so he's claiming 19. I think this is probably the final official number that we will be getting. So Rzeczpospolita and their sources, maybe they're tricking me. Anyway, there were 19 breaches, and it simply defies imagination that could be accidental. Exactly. You tell them, Radek. All right. I think this is most of the things that I wanted to discuss in relation to the drones in Poland, everybody. The first major drone interference by a NATO country since the beginning of the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine. At least your leader can speak like a normal human being. Our leader sometimes speaks like too much like a normal human being. Sometimes he goes into his good old Kriviri Gopnik mode, and it's no good too. He's like, so we had some very controversial press conferences with him, with Zelensky meaning, when he would not show his best side. He has his good side and he has his dark side, and sometimes he is not on his best behavior. So I imagine you side with NATO, right? I don't know, Port, what do you think? Let's take a wild guess. just because I side with someone, it doesn't mean I will not be criticizing them. In fact, if I like someone, I will be criticizing them even more because I care about them. So, and also I make fun and I joke about things all the time. So, no one is safe. No politician is safe in this chat. During my live streams, everyone is going to be under fire one way or another. So, hide your politicians. No, pretty stable on this one. We are partners with NATO, so it hasn't changed. This hasn't changed. I feel like our media is more focused on Qatar than Poland. Also makes sense, understandably. But yeah, it's interesting to see, right, how these things... Oh, thank you, Suzanne. Oh, that's adorable. Thank you. It's interesting to see, right, how different countries, how differently the information space is shaped depending on where you are, right? How different topics are trending. Like in France, for instance, all they're talking about is the protests that have been happening today, because they had these mass protests all across the country. And actually, I even had this. They have a new prime minister and all of this, and this is the main this is the main topic of conversation, right? Wow, what happened? No, this is something burning as always in Paris, right? As you can see. And again, not much about Poland. Not surprising at all. Like, and in other countries, the further away you are, the different the topics. I think Nepal is also trending today because of the protests there, mass protests there. I think a lot of you have seen what's been happening. So yeah, with the protesters, just, yeah, very, very, I don't know, successful, I guess, in a way, protest, but also very violent, a lot of people dead. So it depends on, where you are, and depending on the type of information you are consuming and what you're interested in also, because if you are taking your information mainly from social media, chances are you're going to stay in your bubble, right? And when you're in your bubble, information bubble, it will be shaped accordingly by the algorithm. So if you're interested in the Middle East, it's going to be mostly Middle East. If you're interested in Europe, it's going to be mostly Europe. It's the United States or it's Japan, right? The Japanese prime minister no longer, retiring, right? Oh my God, stop this. So it depends. It depends on where you are, and it depends on what kind of content you're consuming. So there was an interesting article coming out of Australia that I want to discuss, by the way, which we will in a sec. Right. Even more. Now that's interesting. Okay, sorry. Let me try and keep up. It also looks like Vance really wants something to happen to Trump. He will never tell us, but I'm pretty sure, yeah. Honestly, knowing this character, I wouldn't be surprised. After what he did to the Pope. Okay, so this article, you guys, that I wanted to talk about, it has to do with the... I think this is the first massive order of the underwater drones that we have seen in the recent years. And we have talked about, and I told you how fascinated I was by the prospect of the underwater drone warfare and what it could possibly do to the... it could entirely reshape and change the way fighting on the sea will be, what it will look like and how it's going to be conducted. And Australia apparently is leading the way, which interesting and I guess makes sense, considering that they're surrounded by the ocean. So anyway, Russia is denying the drones are there. Of course they're denying. Of course they will be denying everything, right? So they will be denying, then they will be saying that there are no drones, and then they will be saying it's a provocation, right? And that the drones are actually imaginary drones, or it's the drones from the biolabs, whatever, right? It's going to be a lot of nonsense, and the main goal will be to jam the information space with the nonsense. Because this is how they operate, and then they're just throwing poop at the wall, and they're seeing which kind of poop is going to stick, and then they're going to go with it. but their goals remain unchanged, right? It's super clear, and I think it's super obvious to all of us who have been following the situation. Mu says, I'm mainly listening today. I have hands full with, two tired girls. It's good that you're here with us. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. I'm so scared right now. Do not be scared, ever, of anything. This is the worst thing you could do to yourself. Try anything in your power to stay hopeful, and also laugh as much as you can at everything, because fear paralyzes you. And this is one of their main goals. This is how they get you. They want you to be scared. You don't have to be. An antidote to fear is hope. Laughter and hope. Hope and laughter. So this is what we're trying to do here. Hello to you too. Hello to you too, Secretary. Oh, thank you. That's very sweet of you. We're trying, right? We're trying our best. We're trying to do things in a certain way without the this is it, you guys. This is the end. No, it's not the end. It's not the end. They created a disinformation they created so many disinformation campaigns throughout the years. I cannot even count them. Every single day is a new disinformation campaign, and their networks are working. Right, they're spinning every single day. The wheels are spinning in all the languages in all the different countries, but the pattern remains the same. The pattern remains the same. They're trying to overwhelm you. They're trying to confuse you. They're trying to make you doubt. Oh, thank you, Josh. Thank you. This is beautiful. They're trying to make you doubt even the things that are most obvious to you, the things that are the foundation of your being. Right, because if you start questioning the very core of your essence, you get lost and you get scared, and this is how they get you. So, okay, the drones, everybody, the drones and Australia. Australia is planning on spending $1.1 billion US equivalent, right, on Ghost Shark drone, which is, by the way, how cool is that name? Ghost Shark drone subs, just heavy metal. Anyway, the undersea drones can attack from shore and from surface warships, with Australia referring to them as having the highest tech capability in the world. That's insanely cool. Of course, it's important to remember that this is a project, right? So they're currently investing into these, and they're planning on getting these drones within several years. But what a cool thing to have, honestly. On paper, it sounds incredible. It's just... This is the highest tech capability in the world, Australian Defence Minister told reporters in Sydney. Australia is leading the world in terms of autonomous underwater military capabilities. He added, he did not specify the exact number of the Ghost Sharks that will be manufactured, but said that Australian Navy will be provided with dozens over the next 5 years. Okay, well, I guess we have a timeline. We can guess from this one what timeline for the upcoming war Australia operates on. The next 5 years. The first batch of the domestically developed long-range Ghost Sharks will be delivered to the Australian Navy in January next year. Yeah, this is gonna be a game changer. The decision to deploy Ghost Sharks comes as Australia seeks to counter the threat of, you already know, China's military expansion in the Pacific. So everyone in that part of the world is preparing for a very particular kind of war, and yeah, I think we're ready. We could tell for a while now. What do we know about Ghost Sharks? Such a cool name. Mars did not reveal the range of the undersea vehicle. Good. We don't need this information. This information has to remain hidden, but describe them as having very long range and stealth capabilities. Awesome. Just incredible. The autonomous drones will significantly improve Australia's underwater defense capabilities, complementing a fleet of submarines powered with US nuclear technology. So, go Australia. How many times have we been discussing this, right? That pretty soon there's going to be underwater drones, and it's going to be completely a new era of the sea warfare. It's here, and it's brought on by Australia. So, yeah, better to be safe than sorry, you guys, right? Better to be safe than sorry. David. No, it's fine. This is what I do too, right? You have to channel memes and, other things. We have more power than we think we do, says Carlo. This is also true, and it's important to remember. A lot of people forget. And again, it's another point of this type of propaganda that you're seeing surrounding us these days. They're trying to make you forget. They're trying to teach you into this hopelessness, the state of hopelessness and helplessness. And when they're successful, you can see, right? You can see entire societies just completely. I mean, I always give you guys an example of the Russian society. I think this is one of the good examples how it was done to them. I mean, not that they had a lot of hope going for them to begin with, but in the last couple of decades, it was just continuous process, and it was successful, unfortunately. So. This is what we're trying to avoid here, ideally. What else would Australia name the ocean drones? Australia, home of the great white shark. I mean, I guess it's just imagine the koala drones. Yeah, that would be silly. Peskov said baseless accusation with no evidence, even though the evidence is scattered across Poland. What else could we expect from Peskov, right? He could have a drone stuck in his mustache, and he would still lie through his teeth and his mustache. That's Peskov. If he breathes, he is lying. By the way, have you guys heard that Margarita Simonyan, one of the main Russian propagandists, she has been diagnosed with cancer? We have been discussing her before. She is the person behind the Russia Today, one of their main global disinformation services. And recently she didn't say that it was cancer, but she said that she has been diagnosed with a horrible illness. The sources close to her confirmed that apparently it's cancer. So, yeah. It's so interesting because this woman claims to be such a spiritual being. She's absolutely vile, obviously, right? She's one of the main masterminds behind a lot of very, very, very hateful, very vicious, vile things that Russia has been spreading on their state level. But she also claims to be highly spiritual. She claims to be the super Christian Orthodox, whatever. It's interesting how when someone claims to be so spiritual and such a wonderful human being, and they completely fail to notice that perhaps some consequences of you being horrible, awful human being might cut up with you while you're still here, while you're still alive. No, they don't think this way. They think that they will be immortal forever. By the way, this is Nepal, you guys. I told you that that Nepal has been having these very bloody protests, and this is the government palace in Kathmandu destroyed by fire. That's very sad music. I think this is for some of you might have already seen this one, but I also wanted to show you because I've been following these protests as well. And now that we have mentioned them, yeah, this is what's left of the palace. But yeah, there was a lot of awfulness happening there. Wait, where is Simonyan? I had her somewhere. It's so many things. There she is. That's her. That's to those of you who forgot what she looks like. Oh well. Oh well. Just something that I forgot to mention before. Yeah, she's quite a character. She has been for a while. I cannot even pinpoint, one single horrible thing that she said because she said so many throughout the years. So, yeah. And it wasn't a good year for her or her family. First, her husband had some horrible something, either a stroke, I don't remember exactly happened to her husband, but he's still in a coma, and now she has cancer, so, yeah. Don't really have anything else to add on this particular topic. Okay, let me see what other things I had in mind. For today, it was mostly Poland for today. It was mostly Poland and Belarus. And also, yes, I believe we did discuss the strikes on Ukrainian territory as well. at the very beginning, which was also... I know it's completely lost with the strikes on Poland, understandably, because Poland is at the heart of everyone's attention. It's something new, something fresh, but still, we also had some devastating results of the last night's drone and missile attack on our territory with several people killed. Also, a couple of days ago, yesterday, this was the official statement from... I'm not going to show you any footage, but yeah, we had an absolutely devastating strike in one of our frontline regions, in Donetsk in particular. So there were people in the frontline regions who still remain very close to the front. They still have to continue existing somehow, right? So there's a lot of elderly left in those regions. And in this particular case, they were lining up to get their pensions, because their pensions are being given to them the old-fashioned way through the post office, right? So there is a postman bringing this money and giving it out to people. I'm not entirely sure why things work the way they do, but this is how they do it. And at that particular time, with a bunch of elderly lined up to get their pensions, this is when the Russians hit this line, and 20 people were killed while waiting in the line to get their pensions. This was in the place called Yarovaya in Donetsk Oblast. And yeah, this was yesterday, everybody. This was yesterday, a very devastating attack that didn't even make it into any headlines, because it's the frontline city, it's in Ukraine, everyone is used to people getting killed on mass scale in Ukraine, so it's not really something that people talk about anymore. But yeah, that was a devastating thing. There were a lot of graphic videos about this particular attack, but I'm not going to show them to you, obviously, because, you know, I try to avoid this type of stuff in my coverage. But yeah, and meanwhile, in Russia, Orthodox women march in Moscow, which to support the Russian special military operation. Singing about their holy motherland, which is grotesque, to say the least, happening to the backdrop of the atrocities that we're discussing. You have these people. So, is it true Ukraine got hit in the main capital last night? Well, these days Kyiv has been under fire pretty much, I think, daily. If you mean the strike on our cabinet of ministers, it was already, when we were discussing this, you guys, on Sunday, right? We were discussing this. It was over the weekend, if you mean this one. I'm not entirely sure which one you mean, because there's a lot. There's a lot of missile strikes, every single day these days. So, just a moment. Seeing stuff like this, like the Orthodox marches, just you realize how deep whatever it is that's happening in their heads, the illness goes. I have had people asking me before why I no longer go to the Russian Orthodox Church. Exhibit A. I don't think any other explanation is needed. Thank you. So, if you look at this, just. But it has been like this for a while. It has been a death cult for a while now, unfortunately. So, yeah. Okay. Shut up. Enough is enough. Just, I wanted to show you something, because this is not the type of stuff that you guys would see every single day. I also liked the comment that went with it. This Twitter user wrote, "A lot of well-meaning leftists fail to understand that the Russian political project changed dramatically after 2014 and went into overdrive after 2022. It's no longer just a scheming oligarchic regime, it has a state-enforced ideology now, all the indicators of genocidal fascism." Yes, and also completely bonkers one as well. It has the little weird imperial orthodox twists to this as well. So, yeah. Where else would you guys see a march of Orthodox women in Moscow? Only here. Ah, not many men. Right, it's the March for Orthodox Women. Orthodox men are all marching onto Ukrainian territory. Because this is what they're doing apparently these days. All right, everybody. Let me see, what do I want to open? I wanted to open something nice and then answer your questions, hopefully. But I don't have anything nice. I have Trump and the drone strikes and how did the drones fly into Poland. Do I have anything nice? Trump again, JD Vance, drones, Zelensky, Tusk, more drones, more Trump. Thank you, David. What is it? Ukrainian Crimea that you have as your profile picture? This is wonderful. Okay, let me just open Australia, and let me know, you guys, if you have any questions, anything. Let me know. Does NATO Article 5 still exist? In theory it does. We will have to learn whether or not it exists in practice, I think, in the upcoming future. I mean, I guess in general, one may say and may think that what we saw last night was actually a good thing, because at least they showed some unity, right? They didn't leave Poland to fight for itself. But I think what definitely is true here is that before 2022, the idea that we had of the NATO Article 5 and what it's going to look like, and how these things will work in case of war, we had to learn the hard way that this is going to look very differently from reality, and the real thing will look very completely and utterly different from everything we have imagined. So yeah, it was a rude awakening, I think, for many of the NATO people as well in 2022, especially after we learned the plan for the Baltics. Remember, right? The one where the plan was basically to let the Baltics be occupied by the Russians and then liberate them in 180 days, after there's nothing left, after the Baltics, obviously, because God only knows what would be done to them in this time. So a lot of weird things, a lot of weird ideas that existed. The mainstream audience had no idea about some of them. Then they learned. Then there was massive backlash. Because what do you mean? And yeah. Poland used $1 million missiles to shoot down $10,000 drones. That's going to be one of the main issues with the Shahed drones. I believe we have talked about this in the past, right? But yes, this is going to be the main problem. It is already a huge issue. It's going to grow with the growth of the Russian manufacturing of said drones in Alabuga. And not only, I think they're going to expand it from Alabuga as well. The problem is they can make a lot of them for cheap, and there is currently no way to intercept them all that is also going to be as cheap. The air defense, the interceptors, the missiles, the rockets, whatever, are much more expensive than the drones themselves. So economically, it's a disaster. Something has to be created that could get the job done for cheaper. And I believe this is the biggest question. What could it be? Because in Ukraine, we're using everything. Everything is being used. We have the ancient Soviet era stuff. We have just the guys with their Igla systems. We have the modern stuff that the West has given us. We have the radio electronic warfare. We have everything under the sun. And one of the main goals here is, of course, to make the process cheaper, because you cannot simply, it's insane, right? You cannot continue using these like millions of dollars worth of missiles to intercept these very cheap drones. So yeah, this is going to be something. And I feel like when we were just listening to the snippet of the Rutte press conference, I feel like this is one of the things that the reporter was hinting at. So yeah, we'll see how this is going to go. We will see. Dave says, I think NATO Article 5 only exists for the US. This could be the case. I mean, yeah, this is what practice shows us, right? That's the only time when it was invoked, so... Are the rest of the members aware? It's a good question. That's a good question. Right. It's the strikes on the Ukrainian territory are nightly occurrence. All regions. No one even talks about the Western regions anymore. Even, you remember, I think about a year ago, it was still like whenever the Western regions would get hit, it would still get some attention in the media. No, not anymore. And the daily strikes on the central, southern, and eastern Ukraine, it's even less attention to that. So, unsurprising. Unsurprising. Oh, hello, Maddie. Hello. Good to see you. How are you doing? And hello. The drones can cause millions of dollars in damage. So that needs to be taken into the calculus. Right. There has to be something. There has to be an answer. You have to take into account everything, ideally. Obviously, you cannot just let them roam, right? This is not what I'm trying to say here. That, okay, let's just let these hundreds of drones fly towards their destinations and just leave them alone. No, but there have to be different solutions. There have to be different solutions for different types of drones and different types of attacks. And yeah, it's hard for me, obviously, to say what exactly... Like, we've only seen this one time when NATO was repelling the drones, and it was only 20 drones, and obviously it was done through these very expensive measures. Maybe there is something else. Maybe there's something else at their disposal that they're just not showing us. Who knows? But for now, based on what we have seen out of this one interception of the 20 drones, it's hard for me to imagine what the potential interception of 1,000 drones would have looked like, or potential interception of 2,000 drones and missiles. Because also Polish officials stated that there was a debris, that there was a missile of sorts, right? I don't think they have clarified what kind of missile it was. The lady who was given the information looked petrified. Where is she? Or was it a different lady? Let's see. Oh no, that was a very strict looking lady. Okay. No. Yeah, they said, this was in the morning, right? And it was 7 drones, right, and the debris of an unknown missile. So they don't know what missile that was. So what is it going to look like if it's a lot of missiles, if it's a strike similar to the one that we're seeing on Ukrainian territory nightly? This is my question, I guess. But also, thank you, Josh. We'll see. Right? Oh, thank you, Ken. What was that? Right. Yeah, this is a very strict looking lady. To those of you guys on YouTube, just wow. This is the type of spokesperson that you need to announce all of the drones info. That's the expression of someone who is ready to deal with all of them with her bare hands, perhaps. The West needs to help close the airspace. You guys. The way Article 5 is interpreted changed, and it will change again. It will change again. Of course it will. Unfortunately. Maybe not though, you know. It's so hard not to be skeptical based on everything that we have been seeing. I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you, everybody. Our grandma, 86 years old, was crying in 2022. She still remembers wartime. Oh, it's just, I cannot even imagine. Yeah, we had all of these heartbreaking stories of the elderly who also survived the World War II and then had to live through the bombings once again. It's just, just cannot even fathom something like this. Cannot even fathom, you guys. I miss a bot. I missed a bot. No, where did he go? Someone got him. Oh, I haven't had one in a while. I kind of miss them, honestly. I miss them, everybody. I miss these annoying things. Also, I completely forgot about the air raid alert map, because this is what we used to look at. Okay, it's relatively quiet over Ukrainian sky today. Oh, Megan left and I didn't see. Hopefully we'll be back soon. Behave while I'm gone. We will keep an eye on them in the meantime. We're not ready to protect ourselves. That's one of the main points of everything that has been happening in the last 3 years, to give you guys time to, if you're from European countries, to give you guys time to prepare to defend yourselves. And now the question is whether or not you have used this time. But yeah, we will we will learn the answer to that. Looks like the rest of us haven't learned a thing from what happens in Ukraine. We're not ready. I think there's a lot of denial going on. There's a lot of denial, not everywhere. And you may even notice if you read our chat that a lot of people, especially people who are close to Russia, they are not really, right? I think they're in a very different headspace compared to Western Europe. But also in Western European countries, we have people who are also very sober about the situation and realistic. But I guess it's inevitable that the majority of people would like to stay in denial. And this comes from someone who has been also in denial for a very long time regarding Russia. So yeah, I think I get the feeling. But the last 3 years, at least I feel like on the level of the officials, it has been eye-opening. And the rhetoric that has been coming from all of the key players, it has been pretty straightforward and pretty realistic. So I have a feeling that a lot of people understand what we're in for. It's just maybe they're not necessarily making it as like obvious to the general public. Thank you, Moo. Maybe not to cause panic. It was also something that we did, you might remember, in late 21 and the beginning of 22, when we already had the Russian forces at our border. Our government didn't want to cause panic because the idea was that if they were to say, okay, we're getting invaded tomorrow, that half the country would flee and everything would collapse. So whether or not it was a good approach, whether or not it was a solid approach, hard to say, but that was the general idea behind that. Obviously, it still could have been done so much better, especially in terms of the evacuation from the frontline cities, but yeah, they didn't want the people to panic. And that's one of the reasons why, for instance, we didn't evacuate the orphanages and why all of these kids ended up in Russia. So, and we have a massive problem on our hands because of that, because we now have to look for them in Russia and it's impossible to get them because, well, you know the drill. So there's all of these things. At the same time, you also have a lot of countries actively learning from our experience, which is good. We already discussed like Lithuania and Estonia among the Baltics. Latvia, not as much. Latvia is a big question mark for me regarding how they're preparing. But Estonians are in Ukraine all the time learning. Recently, we have had this instance of the Estonian, I think, firefighters who came to learn how to deal with the consequences of the drone and missile strikes, right? How to put out these, and also they brought some aid, and also they have been working with our firefighters and rescuers, and then they also assisted because while they were there was a missile strike on Kiev, obviously, because it's a daily thing, and they helped out our teams on the scene. So. Right, I think depending on the country, it's a different approach and different situation, because for some countries it's much more real than for the others, especially for the one. What are they doing? What are they? What are my neighbors doing? Is the building going to collapse? I don't know. Last night someone was having a party. Everyone is having their best life over here. So, living it up. No, I didn't. No glass for me. Just the clementine juice, everybody. So, cheers. And I've been in the sun a lot. Every single day. Every single day I'm in the sun, which is wonderful. Oh, thank you, Cinderella. Good to see you. How are you? It's a very different reality here. A much more fun one. Speaking about different realities. Thank you, Disco Dave. It actually, every time, whenever I'm away, it just becomes so painfully clear. And, the funny part is, when you're traveling away from Ukraine, it's becoming clear, right? So that people have a completely different reality and do not really understand what's happening. It's not really, because it's not really part of their life, right? They're just continue with their day-to-day activities. But even within the country, this is the idea that a lot of the people, like the people from the front lines, obviously, but also the people from the frontline cities and the people from the cities that are getting hit actively daily, this is the idea that they get when they travel further west. Thank you, Jackie. What was that again? What? I think they're moving furniture. And you would get people like from Zaporizhia, for instance, coming to Dnipro and being like, oh, you have it good. And to me, to someone who lives in the western region, both of them have it awful because, there are almost daily strikes in every single one of them. But Zaporizhia is more of a frontline cities, right? So it's worse, right? And there's all of there's levels to this thing. Okay, the air raid alert continues. Now it's in Zhytomyr. Sorry, it's just me looking at the map. Hoping the world leaders don't buy into the Kremlin's excuse that they invaded Poland by accident. Well, thankfully they haven't invaded Poland yet, right? It was just the drones. But honestly, based on the reaction that we have seen from the European leaders so far, I don't think anyone is buying it. So we started out the morning with the statement from Ursula von der Leyen, who is the head of the EU Commission. Thank you, Jackie. And it sounded like she has no illusions about this whatsoever. And then we also had the statement from Rutte, right? And then we had, all of the Polish officials they sounded very sober regarding the situation. Macron also made a statement, also sounding pretty sober. I haven't seen the statement from Merz, but I would imagine, knowing his stance on Russia. By the way, have you guys heard about the extensive Russian propaganda attacks, specifically against him, against Merz, but also other European officials as well? Basically, the more anti-Russian aggression you are, the more actively they're attacking you and coming up with a bunch of lies about you. So, yeah, stay vigilant regarding that. Criticize your politicians, but also be aware of the ongoing disinformation campaigns from the enemy to the east. Josh says, we're finally cooling off a little in California. Ah, that's nice. California. Moo says, we actually never stopped, but not all EU members. Yeah, I mean, for Finland, it makes a lot of sense, knowing history and what you guys have been through. But obviously, this is not something that other countries understand or can relate to. And then you also have the countries that understand what the Soviet Union was. I saw the Baltics, right? The only members of the European Union who know what, the Russian, what the Soviet rule was like and the Soviet occupation was like, because they were part of the Soviet Union. So such different experiences depending on which area of the continent you're coming from. Zelensky corrupt. Sorry, I don't know why it made me laugh so much. Sophia, PhD. I talk about corruption here a lot, about corruption in Ukraine in particular. And it's a little bit more complicated than just Zelensky corrupt. There are layers to this, unfortunately. It's not the issue of one guy being, a bad guy. Thank you, Zoe. Who is Tatarov? That's that's one of our officials. Wait, okay, there's more. No? Zelensky supported Russia. Oh, thank you, Jay. Thank you, guys. Zelensky supported Russia and terrorists in Donbass in 2014. Wait, what? He supported terrorists in Donbass in 2014 personally. Was he there with a little gun, or what was he doing? Actually, in 2014, I think he was still like acting. He was in the movies and stuff. Okay, I was about to answer your question seriously, but no, I'm not gonna do this because come on now. What are we even doing here? Let's be real. It has to be kind of painful for you to see them with no cares while you know what's happening at home. You know, Tasha, surprisingly, not as painful as it could have been. It was very painful before. It was very painful up to 2014, in particular visiting the rest of Ukraine after 2014. That was very painful. Coming from occupied Crimea into the mainland Ukraine and seeing people without a care in the world. Now that was very painful. And I don't think anything else could possibly compare to that. After being through this, this is just, it's nothing. So thankfully, I'm one of those people who have been living in this reality for a very long time. So I had time to adjust, and I had so many different experiences based, on that, because I had time. For a lot of people in our country, this is still very fresh. But also a lot of them have had much more devastating experiences than me, coming, from the frontline cities or losing their family members or, having fought themselves. So the reality has changed. But for me personally, this particular instance, the, experience of having to deal with people in complete denial and just fully ignoring the reality next door, the reality within their country. Been there, done that, unfortunately. Yeah, yes, they have. She announced this too. Von der Leyen was talking about cutting money to Israel. So, because I was listening to her speech today in the morning, and because I wanted obviously to hear what she's going to say about 20 drones in Poland, and yeah, she also mentioned that. So, obviously, it's not going to change anything, but all right. When did they announce the beginning of the ground operation? A couple days ago, I think. This is so No, but honestly, I'm thinking Zelensky helping terrorists in 2014. This is not even so. Usually, this is the type of rhetoric that you would hear perhaps from the Parachaboty. So we have this. This is what we call. Thank you. This is what. Thank you, Jay. Yay! We almost hit the goal. Thank you so much. We have this group of stands of our former President Poroshenko, and they obviously have beef with Zelensky, understandably, and the feeling is mutual. And thank you, Maddie. And this is the type of. Thank you, Maddie. Yay! Thank you, guys. Thank you, Josh. This is awesome. I wish I had these in real life. So, and this is the type of rhetoric that you would normally hear from these people. So maybe Sophia is one of them. I guess we'll never know. I don't know. I guess we'll never know. Oh, Sophia, you're still here. Who is Tatarov and why Zelensky protects him? Because they're very close. It's one of the reasons. But Tatarov, it's not only that. Tatarov is the system. He has been in the system since early Yanukovych, I think. I'm not exactly sure when was his exact rise to power, but he started in Partia Regionov. So the Party of the Regions, our infamous pro-Russian party that has started this all, that gave us Viktor Yanukovych and that gave us a lot of other problems. And Tatarov has been in power ever since, because Tatarov represents not himself, he represents the interests of the oligarchs behind him. If you would like to understand the problems that we're having, the problems with the corruption in Ukraine, you have to understand that we have people like this who are called решалы, right? So deciders, basically. People who are getting the job done, people who are in these positions of power because they need to be in the position of power for the oligarchs, right? This is the issue. This is the issue with the corruption, ultimately. Obviously, this is a simplified explanation. And they have been there, sitting there, under every president. It's not just Zelensky's issue. Obviously, he has so many flaws, and I talk about this all the time. But this is not just, okay, we're going to change the guy, and then things automatically going to get better. Tatarev has been here with the last 3 guys, because he represents other guys that are behind the scenes. And that are not going anywhere, so... But also Zelensky, he has this weird sympathy to him. He believes that Tatarev was in Kiev defending the city at the very beginning of the full scale. He has a lot of very confusing notions about Tatarev. I don't know why. I do not know what their little love affair is like. I wasn't there, thankfully. But yeah, it's not just Tatarev. We have a lot of figures like this, unfortunately. Thank you, that's very sweet of you. Alrighty, you guys, we will be wrapping this one up. It ended up being more of a, drones in Poland live rather than anything. But we also briefly talked about Nepal. Also, have I told you the 2 potential candidates to be the next Japanese prime minister? Wait, Zoe says she's gone, but I left her stuff in the... Is there something else? So Zelensky is close with ultra-corrupt Tatarev. Jesus Christ, Sophia. How many times can I repeat the same thing over and over again? Oh my god. Well, you're already gone, but... I don't know. She just kept yelling at me. Who's Tatarev? She just kept screaming, this person, you guys. Why do they do this? Why do they keep screaming? And when you try to explain things to them, they continue screaming. That's not my favorite type of bot, honestly. This is annoying. Whose video? What? YouTube is free, said Sophia. Okay, wow, the sass. He literally said he hates Ukrainian-speaking people and supports separatists. He never said that in his freaking life, you stupid, stupid person. Oh my god. Where did it... Okay, sure. That's exactly what he did. He supports separatists. Like, you could have a semblance of a political career in Ukraine if you said something like this. Sure. Sure, sweetie, whatever works for you. Boris Johnson is calling for an immediate military intervention. One of the things, have you guys noticed, the moment these people lose any power, right, the moment they step down from any position of power, all of a sudden, they're like, troops to Ukraine! The moment they're back in power, all of a sudden, we have to be careful, we have to avoid escalation. We have to. Yeah. No, but Boris, you know my opinion on Boris and his statements. He has been making a lot of these. Yeah, okay, so it's gonna be, you guys, to those of you who are on YouTube, I do not know if you're interested in what's happening in Japan, but after the previous prime minister resigned, they're in a bit of a political crisis. And a very high possibility that Japan, on one hand, good thing, they might finally have first woman prime minister. On the other hand, she is Takaichi Sanae, who is a devil incarnate. This is her on the left, next to Koizumi, the son of the infamous previous prime minister Koizumi, the Nepo baby, another possible candidate. But there is a problem with Sanae. So the previous prime minister, one of the reasons why he resigned is because basically his party doesn't like him. He's considered to be too moderate for them. And Takaichi, she is significantly more right-leaning, and she's seen as potential, maybe someone who could, I guess, curb or use the rise, something that we have discussed, right? The rise of the xenasolo, this far right party in Japan, to the advantage of LDP. Silly idea. Anyway, but obviously, because she is a very controversial figure, because of that, if they do end up appointing her, they might lose the coalition in the government, and it might even become worse than it is right now. So very interesting situation. I will be keeping an eye out on this one. I know it interests like a total 3 of you, but we will also be looking at this thing because it's important, everybody. And also I like Japan, so so yeah, it's either her or him, or perhaps there's also another guy, but we will see. We'll see about that. Anyway, yeah, just something that I wanted to let you know. Okay, and now we will be actually wrapping this one up, I think. Did I miss anything important? If I did, then I will make sure to answer it next time. You guys were also, so these days we're live Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Sunday is our subscribers only live, so you can join if you would like to support what I'm doing. You can join it either on here by becoming a subscriber on TikTok, or through Patreon, which is linked in my bio, if you would like to be a part of that. So many comments about Tatarov, Jesus. But yeah, the next live is going to be on Friday. We will be discussing, as always, everything. Are you gonna run for office? No. Oh no, Dana, no. God forbid. God forbid. Oh, Japan. I don't understand what NATO is waiting for. That's a very good question. Well, the main reason for the stalling is the fact that they need time. Europe in particular needs time. They are not ready for war, and the last couple of years have been about that. Strengthening air defense, getting stuff ready, reinforcing the army, putting in all the necessary legislation, at least some of it. There's been more active recruitment campaigns in different European countries, and yeah, it's stuff like this. Manufacturing, because you need weapons, you need all of these things. So, wait, what? Did I once again miss someone screaming? I didn't see. Thank you, Elmer. So yeah, I would say this is the main. But I think I told you like a couple years ago, right? We were discussing this. Obviously no one remembers this anymore, but my feeling has always been from the very beginning that if they intervene, it will be when it's already too late, right? I know it sounds very dramatic, but I think I think it still kind of makes sense if you really think about it, so. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I appreciate you all. Yeah, I would like to talk more about Japan in the future. So hopefully we can do a deeper dive into what's happening, because it's interesting. All of the beefing within the LDP and the rise of Sanseito, it's their far right crazy populist party. There's a lot of interesting process, and it's all ties down so neatly with what could potentially happen around Taiwan. So maybe we will look more into this. We will see about that. So you guys, thank you as always for the support. Thank you for watching. Our next live stream is going to be on Friday. Friday, same time, same place, both here and on YouTube. Okay, I will also give you a little heads up on my story, as I always do. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching and listening. Take care, you all. Yeah, let's talk more about other things as well, right? Let's talk more about different things. Let's talk more about the situation globally so that we could, you know, try and absorb a larger picture, I guess. I think it could be interesting. I think it could be fun. Alrighty, everyone. Have a lovely time of the day wherever you are, okay? And I will catch you all soon, okay? Mwah. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Okay, I just said bye-bye to TikTok. Now you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, guys. Yeah, we will be discussing more. I just realized we need to talk the deets, because it's just not enough, these, you know, brief introductions and explanations. So maybe next time. How about that? Alrighty, take care, everyone. Okay, until next time. Thank you for the support as always. I will catch you all later, alligators. Bye bye. Thank you.